just highlights
Which
the
one?
guys.
That one or less?
No, a little less. Yeah.
That one's perfect. Okay.
Great. That's
Okay.
great.
Bet. So
just see it that much more easily.
So right here, I think I put together all the lists for the most part have a little bit of an order already, but they should be somewhat almost ubiquitous or able to move around. Right here, we'll start off with combo bigs, guys who might be either a natural 4 or a natural 5, but can play either position. I have right now Derek Queen as 1, Thomas Sorber is 2, 3, Asa Newell, right?
Asa
Newell. Jean Berenger. Jean Berenger. Danny Wolf. Buglejub Markovic. Ethan Almanza. Janai Broom. Maxime Renault. Yannick Conan Niederhauser. So to me, I think the top 3 might be kind of obvious, and that would be Queen 1, Newell 2, and Wolf 3.
Oh, so you don't even think Sorber?
So I think Sorber.
I thought you kind of had that in order of Queen, Sorber, Newell. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I had it here. Let me rephrase that. I think the way I have it set is the top 3 already. The one other option.
I want to also note that these are going to be your rankings, right?
Yeah, these are my rankings. But so let me rephrase that. And what I was going to say is currently I have it pretty close to what I would want. I think if I were to change something around, I am higher on Buglejub, but I do believe Sorber and Queen are the top 2 bigs in terms of just right now talent. I think Newell has the potential to be, potentially just as good, maybe even better than both of them because of his athleticism, his length, and his ability to guard inside and out. I think he could really be the best defender out of them. I think Jean is the wild card who's also athletic enough to.
Can I just ask why you think Jean's not kind of more allocated to just being a center? Do you think it's just defensively that he's able to guard either position? My concerns for him seem to be offensively, and where it just seems like he's kind of a rim runner, lob catcher. So I don't know about playing a 2 big lineup with a John Berenger.
So with Jean Berenger, my whole thing, Jean Berenger. I think when you look at him, you're hoping that he's going to be in the Onyeka Okongwu, Bam Adebayo, and I think putting Bam Adebayo in that whole space is.
But those guys are mostly bigs.
Yes, but can we both agree that coming out,
Bam, you can play with somebody else just because he's can initiate some offense.
And but Bam did play next to his last year, Hassan's last year. I think he was with Bam. Bam has played with.
He has, yeah. But because he can initiate offense.
Yes, and I think Jean has shown.
But I think he's been most ideal as a center.
I think I agree that he is floor-wise. He's a rim-running athletic guy who's going to run the floor and going to just be a lob threat, just finish everything in either the dunker spot, put back, and anything in a 5-foot radius. The ceiling, the hope is, and that was the same thing with Onyeka Okongwu, was that they were going to be able to develop into similar, not only defenders which I think Berenger as a defender can be a similar one to Okongwu, and which again, Okongwu's whole thing was being baby Bam, which we know how that ended up developing. But I think Berenger's also bigger than Onyeka, but maybe not as muscular as Bam is. And the whole idea is, as a defender, I think he definitely
he's as talented of offensive player as either of those guys. So that's just.
I think he's definitely closer to Onyeka than I think Bam's in a whole other realm. Just as someone who's seen and talked as a guy who covers the Heat, Bam's passing ability out at the DHOs, his ability to read the floor and be kind of this pivot center is.
His ball skills make it so you could play him at either.
Yes. Yeah. I think Berenger, why I have him as a combo big, is the belief is if you play him with a stretch big, for example, if he was drafted by Indiana, there could be an idea you playing with Miles Turner. And that's because Miles Turner would be the traditional drop big, and then you would put Jean on the fours because he's athletic enough to guard maybe some threes,
But
but
then
most
what is
fours
he
and
do?
five.
And I guess you're saying that he is
Then on
kind of
offense,
he's
he's
in the
the
dunker
rim.
spot, and Miles is kind of floating more.
Yes, exactly.
That's so team specific. Like that's the whole thing.
100%. That's why he's lower on the thing, and I would not be inclined to put maybe a guy like Bogoljuba Markovic above him, because then Markovic actually would be able to be more of a dynamic combo big who can be more impactful as a weak side rim protector and as a floor spacer, or even just as a guy who can, run the pick and roll as a roll big and then either finish out the short roll or just, pass if you see somebody available.
In terms of it, so I think the top three are fine.
Wolf's four.
Berenger and Danny Wolf is like a really interesting debate there, just because Danny can do a lot of those things offensively.
Defense.
And then you worry about his defense. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like where you want to sacrifice.
Also, the other thing is, not to cut you off, before you go, I want you to include this. Per Synergy, Danny Wolf is like one of the worst long rebounders, especially on, I believe it is on the offensive side. Like for a guy who also plays on the perimeter offensively, he doesn't really grab many offensive rebounds, nor does he do a good job of chasing down long rebounds. And that's kind of due to him not being the fastest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts there?
And then he was but the one thing I will say is that he played next to a legit big this year. And, I wonder if that him not playing the five possibly affected that, but I'm sure there are like legitimate issues there that could translate to the NBA.
He didn't test well either.
Yeah. I like athletically, he's lacking some there, but the fact that his hand-eye coordination, his ball skills, his passing, like those are kind of the upside swings with him. The fact that he made TJ Bamba look ridiculous in that one play versus Oregon that went viral. Yeah. Oh, so you're moving down Ethan already? That was going to be my next thing. I was like, why is Ethan ahead of those guys? But yeah. So yeah, okay. So you probably. So are you not like a Jan Berenger like lottery kind of guy?
Ooh, I think I was really on the Jean train beginning of the year. Really loved the athleticism. Thought he was a guy who runs the floor great. Out of Markovic, Wolf, Sorber, and Queen, he's probably the most athletic in terms of just like pure specimen profile, if that makes sense. Now, what do I worry is what we've talked about this. He's got decent hands. I'm not going to sit here and be like he's got, wide receiver mitts out there, but he catches everything most of the time with two hands. He does a good job of getting up and just finishing, but I worry the offensive game will not expand outside of being a Jared Allen, a Mitchell Robinson, a Daniel Gafford type rim running, rebounding, shot.
I mean, that would be like super ideal for him.
Oh, no, that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Okay.
Yeah,
but he is really young.
And how long does it take for him to be like a guy you can play minutes and get like winning contributions from?
I think depends when they run him out there in summer league and preseason, if people are running him off the line or not, like physically. I think that's the biggest question is if he goes out there. If you guys don't remember, Zachary Risache said his biggest guy who killed it in the second half of the season. Risache really ended the year, I think 19 points a game, close to 40% for three. But he said the biggest thing was he was one of the athletic freaks in Europe, and then he's just another guy in the NBA, and it was just an adjustment period for him to get accustomed to the athleticism, and he said the game was just so fast for him.
But Zach also was like somebody that you could rely upon more for, different aspects of the offense. And yeah, certainly had more of a translatable skill set than
that is why I don't think you take him in the lottery is I think he's going to be a little bit greener than you want somebody in the lottery that needs a big needs, because the two teams that need a big in the lottery are either needing a franchise big, or they need a big to be a backup or kind of like a complementary piece off the bench or to their big. And I don't think he fits a lot of those teams right now. Like, I really think ideal landing place is Indiana. He would kill it with Andrew Nemhart, Tyrese Halliburton.
I've loved that for a long time. Give me the case for Bogoljub Markovic over Berenjay, which is something that like you don't really hear about in mock draft scenarios.
Yeah. So Bogoljub Markovic, I think he's offensively, we both can agree on this, more talented right now than
100%.
John. 100%. Yeah. He is a pass, dribble, shoot guy. He's going to be a guy who can he's probably because, I mean, he weighed in at like 235, so he's actually bigger than people give him credit, like weight wise, and he's 6 foot.
Did he?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I swear. And I think it's 232.
I thought he was much less than that at Hoop Summit, but yeah.
Hoop Summit was 232. Hoop Summit was 232.
Was he really?
Yeah, bro. I was shocked. Because I was going 216 in my head. 216.
Yeah. That's why I thought it.
But coming at 230, 232. I just rounded up 235 in my mind. He wingspan 6'11", 6'10". A guy who's a small ball 5, I'll admit that. More natural of a 4. I think offensively he's going to be able to really, if we really want to say worst comes to worst, he's going to be a guy kind of like a Mirza Teletovic, who's going to be able to space the floor, rebound at a decent clip on the defensive end. If things work out that he's big enough, he's going to be able to be a guy who can operate some DHOs out the post. He's a guy who can get a rebound on the defensive side and start the fast break himself and be a threat on transition. And defensively, yeah, he's not going to be a drop big. He's not going to be a defensive stalwart that's going to, like, obviously the Jokic's and the Embiid are going to have the size advantage, but he's athletic enough and moves well enough. I think at the very least, he moves similar, if not better, than Asante Aldama, to be a guy who's a 4 who can be the weak side rim protector, who can make, across the paint blocks, especially on guard. He'll be able to guard 3 through 5s. I think maybe some 5s might be bigger than him and some 3s might be quicker than him, but he'll be able to guard most, if not all 4s. And I think the floor and the impact of a Bogoljub Markovic might be more impactful from day one and longer term in terms of what he can scale up to do if everything goes right, as it won't be as much of a positional need fit or a team fit for him, because any team that brings in him can just use him as a floor spacing big who can play both the 4 and 5 in kind of a Trey Lyles way. But if everything pans out, you have a guy who not only can pass, dribble, and shoot and help you in the second unit, but be a complementary player in the starting lineup that is going to minimize his mistakes and just do the little things. And if it really goes all well, he has a scalable game that you can really see if it all tests out the bigger it gets. It's really hard to find 6'10" dudes who can pass like he does, dribble like he does, is a decent 3-point shooter and a willing rebounder. Like, I mean, he's averaged a double-double basically in the past 2 teams he's played. I mean, this year I think he went down to 7, but the year before he was at 9, where he's more of a focal point. But Mega does a good job of developing guys. That's the other thing.
I know it was like a single game sample size, but I thought he really struggled defensively at the Hoop Summit. And I think that could just be something that makes it a little difficult to keep him on the floor. He also did measure at 216 at the Hoop Summit 0, so I don't know where the 232 number came from.
Wow.
But yeah, I like in both my measurement sheets that I got from there, he was 216. And like does not look like he's 230. Looks very skinny. So yeah,
either way,
like, height-wise, like, yeah, he
needs to get to 230.
Like, oh, what?
If he's 216, that's fine for right now. Aldama came in at 215. You can get to 230 by down. But what were you gonna say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I think physically, like, it'll be a big adjustment, like him guarding either big position, and then I don't think he's quick enough to guard 3s. But yeah, that's just my take on what I've seen from him. Yeah, but yeah, like, if you're banking on him being like a shoot, dribble, pass guy, at that size. You know, yeah, like I see why you envision the upside with him.
And I'm not sitting here saying lottery talent before we go any further. That I want people.
I mean, would you cut off the top 3 as probably being the lottery guys amongst this group? Yeah.
We've talked about Danny Wolf. I love Danny Wolf, and I'm not going to say he's a pussyfoot Ivy Leaguer. Okay, like he's a legit basketball player.
You just said it, but fine. But where did that come from, Cyro?
In one of the books I'm reading, Jack Molinas, when he was in the draft process, Frank Zollner of the Pistons said, "You're just a pussyfoot Ivy Leaguer."
Yeah. When was this?
1953.
Awesome. Yeah. 72 years ago. You're bringing it up now. Cyro's a really 50s guy.
So that's why because I kind of look at Wolf and Markovic both having the same banger and not bang, like same boom, like risk and reward.
Like that's the one thing. Like
they're near 7 foot dudes who can pass, dribble, shoot.
250 something pounds versus 216.
I actually like Markovic better as a defender and rebounder than Wolf. Like I think he moves better than Wolf, and that's the biggest reason why I have
just their strength is something that tends to matter, especially when you're.
So this is what I was going to say. The trade-off is Wolf defensively might get run off the floor, like actually run off the floor. He might his feet might not be able to keep up, and he'll just be in a mismatch, especially on pick and rolls. While I think Markovic's thing might be bullying. Like I think he'll be able to move quick enough against 4s and 5s, but I do believe the fear is if he doesn't fill out the frame, an Embiid, a Jokic, a Valanciunas, a Sabonis is just going to put a shoulder and elbow into him and drop step, move him out of the way every single time.
Yeah. Like I don't see him as a 5.
So, but okay, would you then have Berger over Markovic? I just think if we're going off of pure combo bigs, guys who have the potential of playing both positions, I think Markovic has the better shot than Berger.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you've made it this position. But yeah, like in terms of draft prospects who that's tough to me. That is tough to me. I probably would have Baron J over him, but just from draftability and like his ability to cover ground on defense and hopefully have something to work with there. But yeah, could be wrong. It's so hard to say. Do you want to move on or?
Just round up the last 4 real quick.
Like Maxime Reynaud is like another guy who like really talented offensive player, and you kind of worry about him defensively in the NBA. But yeah, like he just had a great year at Stanford. He was one of the standouts of the NBA draft combine scrimmages, though. Like you wonder how much stock to put into them, and how that even translates to him being a big at the NBA level. Yannick Niederhauser is another one I think is kind of like interesting in that like I wonder if he's a real combo big. Would you think of playing Janai Broom over him? Like that's another like huge trade-off of a guy who has like more ideal NBA athleticism. He's a rim protector. He has like pretty much close to ideal center size versus a guy who just production wise, Duolingo made a fool of him, let's say, and he didn't jump very well. Though I will say he and Derek Queen had the exact same touch point, and I think he might have had a higher touch point from a running start. But his production at Auburn was awesome, and you just wonder if that skill set could possibly beat out the athleticism that Yannick Niederhauser obviously killed at the NBA draft combine. Had a 12'4" touch point, ran really well. Yeah, like certainly a lot of athletic tools to work with, but Janai Broom was arguably the second best player in college basketball this year.
For both guys, I know Yannick Conan Niederhauser is the lesser three-point shooter of the two, even from a college standpoint. I know both have taken over 100 threes. Conan Niederhauser's just like,
offensively, I think they're like worlds apart. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Let me just put it this way. Okay. My biggest question with Janai and why I didn't have him higher is foot speed. Like, he is a guy that at the 4, you do get scared that is he just going to get first blown by every time by a first step.
And then he doesn't have ideal center size. Yeah. That's the thing.
I agree with the whole production thing. And I honestly, the more that we talk it through, I just don't think anybody would play Niederhauser at the 4 consistently unless like they had a floor spacing big, like, all right, let's just say in a weird way, like if for some reason,
then he'd be the 5, Cyro. Like that's.
I was about to say, like, because then in this theory, if he was playing on a team with Jokic then would just be the 4 in that sense. Yeah, and it would be because it wouldn't be the same unless you're trying to use him how Khalil Ware is used on the Heat, which I don't see it. I'm looking at him that you're trying to run him like a Derek Lively.
The whole thing with Khalil is his ability to stretch the floor.
Yeah,
and I don't think
Niederhauser's like Derek Lively is what you're looking at, or Daniel Gafford, like rim running, shot blocking.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Derek Lively, you're winning. But yeah,
you're winning. Yeah. So I'll put him down there, and then Janai Broom. I actually do believe that someone's going to try to play him at the 4 because of his ability. He's shot like not this past season, but the year before on 2.5 attempts from 3 at like a decent clip, like a respectable clip. It's college 3. If that translate, it's going to be something. I just think production wise and older, I'm going to bet on Janai Broom. Also, that was a guy who didn't shoot threes to begin with in college and then started shooting threes in college. So, and then if that's how we have it there, Ethan Almanza, I had it there. He's kind of like, he said it, poor man's Al Horford. I knew you would hate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor man's David West.
Again, like if these are Al's like a Hall of Famer. David West was a multi-time All-Star.
Oh yeah. Like, also, David West had a 7'5" wingspan.
Yeah.
7'4", 7'4.25.
Oh,
88 inch, .25.
I did not remember David
West. Found that out this morning while Nate Babcock and I were exchanging Twitter messages.
Yeah. But David West is he's the 5th best guy from his draft class.
What draft class is that one? 03?
Yeah.
Holy crap, you're right. Yeah, after the top guys.
Yeah. After the top 4. Yeah.
Either way, Ethan Almanza was put in here because after Alex Condon left the draft, I put Ethan Almanza. You're betting on his potential. He's actually a guy who's like a jack of all trades, a master of none. He kind of can defend both 4s and 5s. He's not really a natural shot blocker. He tries at most of the time. He can pass the ball better than most people, but he's not like elite at it. He's a willing 3-point shooter and he has some moves, but it's all potential and it's all the idea, more so the reality, I guess, at this point. Would you agree, Mikey?
Yeah. I mean, his last few stops, it's been more potential than production for sure.
You're just hoping that you fulfill that potential wherever he goes.
Yeah.